Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there tonight. You had yourselves a wonderful day, and I certainly hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far. Here to break down the latest information that we have on what is now Hurricane Francine. Francine became a hurricane just about an hour ago, so we do have the latest information per the National Hurricane Center. We'll go over that. We'll talk about current conditions with this system right now in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll go over all the model guidance. We'll talk about impacts. We'll talk about the environment over the next 24 hours. It does promote this system to at least undergo a period of moderate intensification, especially overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, before it ultimately does make a landfall sometime most likely around Wednesday p.m. We might as well say after lunchtime tomorrow, it will make a landfall along the Louisiana coastline. So we're going to go over all that information for you folks. We'll talk very detailed on impacts. We'll talk about winds, rain, storm surge, even the tornado threat for tomorrow. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you notice I'm a little bit low energy in tonight's video, just got done coaching soccer for 2 hours straight. And typically I do not make a video on Tuesday evenings during soccer season, but we are tracking a hurricane, so I definitely thought it was important to jump on here and get you guys another update for tonight. So here we are. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. So let's get rocking and rolling. So this is Hurricane Francine, and I can tell you Francine does not look very impressive as of right at the time I'm making this video. That could change as soon as I get done with the video. I post it, upload it, all of a sudden it can look much more impressive because the environment into the overnight hours all the way into tomorrow morning does support at least, like I said, a moderate pace of intensification with Francine. It's just, is it going to happen? And I can tell you the structure of this system is not very impressive. So we really need the structure to improve for it to really take advantage of all the other players on the field that promote this to strengthen. But this is a 75-mile-per-hour hurricane. You know, it's popping off the intense convection, indicating in the whites, even pockets of pink. This tells us we have colder cloud tops, which means we have deeper, taller convection ongoing with this system. But you do have just a big outflow way over here, just a lot of tropical moisture getting kind of I would say kind of dispersed away from the system because of this flow. To the north of this system, we have basically some stout westerly flow flowing on top of the northern side of Hurricane Francine. So that's basically pushing all this tropical moisture up against the Gulf coastline right now. So this is the system, not a very impressive looking hurricane. That's the good news. Can we get some better news? As in, how much is this going to intensify overnight? Can we get a limit of intensification where it just, goes up maybe another 5 to 10 miles per hour? Well, I can tell you the National Hurricane Center is no longer forecasting a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane. Right now, like I said, 75-mile-per-hour hurricane forecast to go up. It's not even forecast to go up overnight now, just still a 75-mile-per-hour hurricane as we're getting to 2 a.m. tonight. Then by the time we get into 2 p.m. tomorrow, it is still forecast to become a 90-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane. This could change. I think that we're going to find out a lot about Francine tonight. Tonight it will have its best environment that it's had as far as the upper wind pattern, of course the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. If it's going to do anything crazy, it's going to happen between now and the time that we wake up tomorrow morning. So, when you head off to sleep, you go to bed tonight, let's just pray that this thing does not explode because it has the potential to do so. It does. So let's hope it does not. But forecast to become a 90-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane and then makes landfall, somewhere into the central to maybe kind of east central Louisiana coastline tomorrow afternoon to tomorrow evening. Could remain a hurricane all the way into the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area. And then, of course, it's going to weaken into a tropical storm with land interaction as it moves into Mississippi. We could have an all-out tropical storm that makes its way across the entire southern half of Louisiana as we are getting into tomorrow night. By the time we're waking up, for a Thursday morning, we're probably going to have the remnants of this still over central Mississippi. And then, of course, this is going to bring impacts even pretty far north. We're going to get kind of a slug of moisture that gets pushed all the way up into the Midwest, St. Louis, Memphis. Certainly are going to see this right up the Mississippi River, basically. So this isn't one of those systems where it's going to hook and then curve and head on off across the mid-Atlantic and the southeast. This is going to head right north, but this is still going to bring a surge of moisture even into the Carolinas and Georgia, but just kind of in a different way, kind of a bit of an onshore flow. We'll speak on that here in the coming videos. But this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. Peak intensity has dropped to a 90-mile-per-hour hurricane now. Now, the more traditional look from the National Hurricane Center, system is now moving northeast at 10 miles per hour, 75-mile-per-hour hurricane. H stands for hurricane, S stands for tropical storm, D for tropical depression. If you see this yellow area right here, this is where tropical storm force winds, basically winds exceeding 40 miles per hour or higher, extends out from the actual center of circulation. And then if you look really closely, you got to put on some bifocals. You see this brown area? That's how far hurricane force wind gusts extend out away from the center of this system. So not very far out, but that's about the usual with these types of weaker hurricanes. So I do want to show you this. This is watches and warnings and stuff like that for the southern half of Louisiana, southern Mississippi. That dark red, first off, you see this kind of light shade of red, almost this pink color here. That's tropical storm watches. The green, flood watches. And then if you look right here, kind of this burgundy, just dark red color, that's tropical storm warning. So, you know, for example, New Orleans has a tropical storm warning. And then if you look at this bright red right in here, that is hurricane warnings, which, by the way, are pretty far inland. So if your parish, I know you guys go by parishes in Louisiana. If your parish is under a hurricane warning, chances are you probably know it already. But I do want to show you this right off the dot. This is a 982 millibar low as of the 7:46 p.m. Eastern time update. Okay, so 75 mile per hour, 982 millibar. I'm showing you this for a reason, because we're going to see how these models are actually initializing, which I'll tell you, the hurricane models are initializing pretty darn well right now. So 982 millibar low. So let's go on and go over the H-Wharf model. Not even going to look at the global models. Let's just focus on these hurricane models. So the H-Wharf model is initializing perfect. 982 millibar low, and it actually is a 982 millibar low this evening. Okay, so it's initializing well. What does it do with this? Well, we continue to move this forward. We can take it to just after midnight. It drops it to a 978 millibar low. And as you can tell, it looks like the structure really improves. You got a nasty looking core to this system, eye wall. And then we take it all the way into tomorrow morning, saying we're going to wake up to a 973 millibar low hurricane. That would make it pretty close to Category 2 status. If not Category 2 status. Remember, the millibars don't always tell everything. For example, sometimes there's 982 millibar hurricanes that are Category 2 hurricanes, and right now we have a 982 millibar low that is just a 75 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane. So it doesn't always tell the story, but we continue to move this forward. You know, it has it to about 1 to 2 p.m. tomorrow, dropping this to a sub 970 millibar low. That would definitely be a Category 2 hurricane. And look at this nasty northern side of this hurricane, going right into what Marsh Island, Shark Island area. This would bring nasty impacts into like the Lafayette area and all the communities in this region right here, Louisiana. And in fact, I meant to already have this pulled up. I'm just going to do it on the fly, like I do a lot of things on the fly here. And if you're a new viewer right now, you're probably wondering, what is this dude doing? Well, I like to try to mention towns and cities that could get impacted, just to kind of add that personal touch to this. But, you know, if something like this was to happen, this would bring that northern eye wall right into the Marsh Island area, the Shark Island area. But the actual center of the storm would actually move east of that area and kind of move into, I would say, these bay areas right here. I think y'all call it the east and west coast of Blanchie Bay. I'm sure I butchered that, but I think you guys in southeast Louisiana know what I'm trying to say. But this will move right into these bay areas right in here, and bring that nasty eye wall right into like Franklin, right along what Highway 90 right there. What is that? Morgan City, nasty impacts. And this would bring this nasty eye wall, folks, right into Baton Rouge. I think Baton Rouge could get hit pretty hard tomorrow evening by this. Okay, this has a landfalling hurricane tomorrow evening sometime. And I'm telling you, Baton Rouge, right into here? I mean, this would bring some nasty impacts right into this area. And look at these banding features that you're seeing right here on the right side of your screen on the east side of this low. This will be an all-out tornado threat tomorrow evening across southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, Mobile, Biloxi, Gulfport, all these areas would have a tornado threat on the east dirty side of the system. And this will continue to move inland, bring tropical storm force conditions all the way into Mississippi. Look at these nasty banding features all the way into Alabama. And this would bring a shield of gusty winds and rain Thursday afternoon all the way up into northern Mississippi into Memphis, western Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, and eventually bring rain all the way up into the Midwest for Friday. Okay, what about the HMON model? Initializing pretty well, 1 millibar off. Whippity-doo, not a big deal. We take it into Wednesday morning. Okay, this starts to blossom into a 975 millibar low. Not much strengthening overnight. And, keeps it at about, it looks like it's about at around I would say about a 970-ish millibar low hurricane, the HMON model is. But it definitely has the structure of this storm a little bit different. For example, it actually has the west side of this system the strongest. And even the southern side, which is kind of odd. I don't know if I believe that because I do think dry air will be undercutting this low. But there's those nasty banding features, nasty onshore flow right into this region. Obviously, these systems spin just like that, right? So whoever's on this side of the system will be getting the worst storm surge, especially right into here. But, with this particular model, the HMON model, this makes a landfall actually even further east compared to the H-Wharf model. This would bring impacts to some of the same areas. This would bring some of the more, I would say, worse impacts into like the Houma, Morgan City, Thibodaux area, right up, all the way up to Interstate 12 there. So I think that's Interstate 12, yeah. So, and then of course it'll do the same thing, bring a lot of impacts up into southern Mississippi. Okay, tropical storm moving in right into Thursday morning. Now, what about the HFA model? Here it comes. Deepens overnight. We're waking up to a 973 millibar Category 2 hurricane just about, if this model is correct. Do I think we're going to wake up to a Category 2 hurricane? I would say no, but I wouldn't say yes either. I wouldn't say no or yes. It's hard to tell. It really is, because I would say that this system is somewhat underachieved so far as taking advantage of the environment that's been pretty decent for this system. We go all the way to about midday tomorrow. We have a 971 millibar hurricane staring down the central Louisiana coastline. This makes landfall kind of in the same range as the HMON, the H-Wharf model. It seems like the common theme here is that it makes landfall, I would say, it definitely looks like it's going to make landfall, I would say, east of like Marsh Island. I think that it could, impact like the Little Hammock area really bad. Really hit like the city that's a little bit inland, but still in that swamp area of like Morgan City pretty hard. So if you live in these communities, certainly you definitely just want to be, I'm sure you're already aware, I don't even have to say that. But this will bring nasty impacts to the big cities in New Orleans and Baton Rouge too, folks, and the nasty impacts to all the communities. All the way up to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Meridian, tropical storm force conditions overnight, late tomorrow night into Thursday morning. And this will bring impacts all the way up to like Memphis, Oxford, all these areas. So I do want to talk about the environment. So that's all the short range model guidance. If we kind of average that all up, it's looking like that the hurricane models want to deepen this anywhere from 10 to 15 millibars over the next, 18 hours? So moderate pace of strengthening. But I want to show you guys, the environment right now is supported for strengthening. Okay, I'm not going to harp on this very long, but, you look at this, we're getting air dispersed out right here, right here, right in here. A little bit of shear probably impacting the southern flank of the storm. Right into here. So air is still being pushed out away from the system. But in general, you take all this back off, and there's just not much wind flow in general around this system. So we have a low shear environment for the system until tomorrow. And then it's going to encounter a lot more shear as we'd have a stout westerly flow going across this area right into here. So this system will move right into that and, of course, encounter it. And then it'll enter some sheared environment for tomorrow. But right now, there's just lack of flow in general. So it's just it should be doing much better, I feel like, than what it is. I just think that this system is really struggling to get its core back together. I don't think it really ever got it together, to be honest with you. But you can see how this system moves north, and then eventually, I think that this system is going to have a bit of a cap on it as far as how much it strengthens. One, because it's heading right towards land, but two, because you see these kind of lines right here with like arrowheads embedded into them, kind of going right up against that L. That's that stout westerly flow going right over our system. This will eat up the western and southern side of the system and kind of interfere with the convection. Of course, that convection brings that shower and storm activity, which creates that moist environment. Therefore, it's going to eat up all that stuff right there, all that moisture, allowing for dry air to really get wrapped up into the circulation. So we get all that back off and continue to move forward. Here's a great representation of that. The thing here is, and we're just looking at, what is this? This is the HFA model, okay? Notice that, we're getting into tomorrow. This is still shrouded with a pretty moist environment. You notice, we even got moist air right in here, all across the core of this system, which is right in here. Okay, very moist environment on the northern, northeast, and the eastern side of the system. But if you notice, look at the dry air getting close to the southern flank of the system. Does it make it, though? It's a big question. Watch how it gets close, and it finally starts to interfere with the actual low-level core of this system. Here's that dry air coming up to it right in here, but it's too little too late, and this has already made landfall and done the damage. We would need, in a perfect world here, for this dry air to catch up with it like right here, like tomorrow morning. Well, really right now, but I don't think that's going to happen. But we need dry air to catch up with this system like right in here tomorrow morning to really weaken this storm right before landfall 6 to 8 hours later. Okay, I just don't see that happening, as no model guide suggests. But the reason dry air starts to get interfered is because shear begins to hit the system, and there that dry air gets wrapped into the actual low to mid-level circulation of this tropical system. So let's talk about impact. So we're going to look at the HFA model, and this is possible wind gust off the HFA model. So core of the system, obviously right here. This continues to move forward here. And wind gusts, just remember that, not consistent wind speeds, but of course you got wind gusts, on this particular model getting over 100 to 115 miles per hour around the core of this system. But already as we're getting into midday tomorrow, we're getting 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts along the central Louisiana coastline. Gusty winds begin to get going here, even in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Thibodaux, Houma, all these areas in southeast Louisiana. Look at this, New Orleans right in here getting 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gust already. And here comes the northern eye wall of this system, moving right into the central Louisiana coastline, and then it will finally hit to make landfall, according to this model, sometime tomorrow, late afternoon into the evening. And of course, whoever is on the east side of the system will definitely get the worst onshore flow right in here. Storm surge would be the worst wherever the eastern side of the system goes because of that onshore flow. This would be offshore flow. So that'll be where your worst storm surge would definitely be. But the core of the system kind of goes right into, where is that? Let's see. It actually goes kind of right up into the Houma area. Let's see. Yeah, and that actually looks like it goes just southwest of Houma. It ultimately ends up riding right between Houma and Morgan City, affecting Thibodaux and all these areas as it continues to move forward. Thibodaux, Houma especially, was hit hard by Ida. I actually chased Ida and Thibodaux a couple years back, so I know about that area. Very kind, very polite people, but of course this makes the landfall, and you continue to get very gusty winds well inland. This brings swaths of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts into southwest Alabama, southern sections of Mississippi, and continues to even bring some strong winds Thursday afternoon into northern, Florence, Alabama. Check it out, even Birmingham, northern Mississippi, all the way into eastern Arkansas. And even some gusty winds continue pretty far north, guys. So if you're looking at the latest National Weather Service forecast as far as predicted wind gusts, it brings the core of this system between Shark Island, it looks like, between Shark Island and the Little Hammock area. Was that 4 League Bay? Hopefully I said that right. Probably didn't. And basically brings the core of this system as far as the bigger towns and communities along the Highway 90 area right into Morgan City. And folks, it pretty much moves it right over Thibodaux, Morgan City. It would bring the worst, I would say, of the winds east of Baton Rouge, right across Interstate 10, right up to Hammond. So you see this corridor right in here. That's the potential for 80 to maybe even 100 mile per hour wind gusts. I mean, it's even getting that all the way into southern Mississippi. This is the National Weather Service too. But the core of the winds goes right between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. So we'll have to see if that actually happens. But of course, whoever lives here, please be aware. I mean, if you live basically along Highway 90, and you're really going to have to pay attention to this. So, if we compare that with the Euro, which, yep, the 18Z is running now, which, by the way, is very strong wind gust. The 18Z must have been a pretty strong run here. But this brings 110 mile per hour wind gust right into those same areas that the National Weather Service is showing. And the HFA showed it making landfall. I mean, very, very strong winds. This would bring catastrophic impacts into this area. And like I said, it really likes that Shark Island all the way over to, I mean, almost the mouth of the Mississippi just about, but not quite that far. But, I mean, almost all the way to Houma. Okay, Shark Island almost all the way to Houma. It loves, these models are really liking this area a lot. Okay, this is still going to be packing one heck of a punch into Baton Rouge and New Orleans too, right between that area especially. And look at these 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts all the way up into Mississippi. And we take a bigger look, kind of a more broad look at the deep south here. Don't want to leave everybody else hanging. And this brings some very strong winds across Mississippi. I mean, 40 to as much as 60 mile per hour wind gusts. I mean, even western Alabama, all the way up into western Tennessee, gets some strong wind gusts from this. 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts as we're getting into our Thursday. This is probably going to cancel school Thursday across the state of Mississippi and stuff like that. So definitely a high impact wind event, just like any strong hurricane would be. And I am very interested, how strong did the Euro have this? It must have had this as a pretty strong tropical system. Let's see, back it up here. Yeah, the Euro has this deepening down to a 965 millibar load. So the Euro has this rapidly intensifying for sure. So it's pretty wild. Let's hope that does not happen. But as far as rainfall, folks, this orange color here, that is 8 to 12 inches of rain, kind of the more muted shaded of orange here. That is 4 to 6 inches of rain. The yellow is, this shade of orange right in here is 6 to 8. The yellow is 4 to 6 inches of rain. So this swath of 4 to 6 inches of rain gets all the way up into western Tennessee. And then a lot of rain along the Gulf Coast too. But of course, the highest amount of rain will be found in the central coastline of Louisiana and southeast Louisiana. So another way to look at this is the actual Weather Prediction Center. Some areas in southeast Louisiana will get anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of rain. And then there's that swath of really heavy rain all the way into Mississippi. And we look at the deep south here. A lot of rain is possible pretty much across the entire state of Mississippi, and even Alabama. I mean, even areas of western Tennessee will get a lot of rain from this. And if we look at the southeast as a whole, good bit of rain expected over the next few days across this area. Even a good bit of rain across areas of South Carolina and places like that. So, soggy times ahead for the Deep South with the impacts of Francine on the way. Storm surge, 5 to 10 feet still forecast. Vermilion Bay, 5 to 10 feet. Whoever gets the eastern quadrant of the storm will get the worst onshore flow and the highest storm surge. But, you got the 4 to 7 feet all the way to the mouth of the Mississippi River, all the way to the Mississippi-Alabama border. Anywhere from 2 to 5 feet of storm surge possible. Even a little bit of storm surge possible now into the far western panhandle of Florida. So you can tell there's been some east trends today, which a lot of people have been asking me about. I don't think this is going to substantially tick east, folks. I think the most furthest it'll tick east is maybe where it'll impact New Orleans more or something like that, but I wouldn't focus too much more on that anymore. But I will say slight risk of severe weather tomorrow in this yellow area, folks. This does include, pretty much Baton Rouge and New Orleans. It includes Mobile, Hattiesburg. It includes Gulfport, Biloxi, almost all the way to Meridian, but not quite. You guys have a marginal risk. Pensacola, Panama City are included in this slight risk. This is for tornadoes. If you look right here, you got a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location in this brown area. And guys, With dry air undercutting this system, the tornado threat will be legit in this area tomorrow, especially as we get into late tomorrow evening. But here comes the system, right? Making landfall. Really has this making landfall like almost into Homa. So the HRRR model, which isn't known to be the best tropical model out there, has this pretty far east, which will bring more impacts to like New Orleans, for example, and even Mobile and Gulfport and Biloxi and all these areas. So big plume of moisture, but it's all these feeder bands right here that are going to make their way inland right here across this region. These banding features that move into this area, folks, are going to have tornado potential written all over it. And I think a little bit of dry air undercutting these bands, like right in here, for example. I think we're going to have dry air kind of coming into this region. That dry air in the upper levels of the atmosphere actually helps the tornado threat. It improves the lapse rates, which we're not going to get into right now. But these banding features right here, definitely a legit tornado threat. And guys, this is like at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So I think we'll have an appreciable tornado threat as we're getting into late tomorrow evening. And we continue to get this going. I mean, this is getting into the wee hours of the morning, Thursday morning. Look at all these bands right in here moving in. I mean, even into southern Alabama, but the panhandle of Florida getting hit hard by these just banding features on the eastern quadrant of this system. So we just got to watch out for that. We'll talk more on that as we move over the next couple videos. But folks, that's all I got. We'll take one last look at this system. Yeah, it doesn't look much different, honestly, than what it did when I started the video 30 minutes ago or something. But we'll do another video in the evening. Thank you for bearing with me this evening. The energy certainly was not there. Just wore out. Been a long day. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are always crazy. So God bless all y'all. Stay safe. Praying for you folks in the bayou and everybody else across the Deep South. Have a good night.